This is you 40,000 years ago. Picture yourself huddled around a faint flicker of firelight. The crackle of flames fills your ears. It's barely enough to drown out the howling blizzard outside the cave. You're deep inside a cavern, 40,000 years in the past, buried in the heart of the Zagros Mountains. The Ice Age is no longer a myth. It's your brutal reality right now. Saber-toothed cats prowl the shadows, fangs glinting like curved blades. Hyenas could be stalking you from behind at any moment. Or cave bears, massive beasts that can shatter bones with a single blow. Finding plants is a gamble. Armed only with courage and crude stone tools, you chase woolly mammoths across frozen slopes. One wrong step and you twist an ankle or scrape yourself badly after a fall. Either means starving to death or dying from infection. There were no doctors back then, no antibiotics, just the biting cold, hunger, and predators that never slept. In this prehistoric crucible, survival demanded perfection. Yet one extraordinary human emotion flourished during this very time: compassion. Today, we're digging up a Stone Age story that isn't about brute strength. It's about a group that refused to abandon one of their own. The tale is etched into ancient bones, bones that redefine what it means to be human. Stick with me until the end. You'll see how the seeds of kindness planted in that cave still shape our world today. This isn't just a history lesson, it's a journey into the heart of humanity at dawn. The evidence we'll explore comes from a cave in northern Iraq. Archaeologists there uncovered a snapshot of Neanderthal life that challenges everything we thought we knew. They weren't savage loners. They were families bound by loyalty, caring for their weakest members in a world that showed no mercy. Let's step back into that frozen wilderness and discover how their choices echo across millennia, forcing us to rethink power, community, and survival itself. To understand this story, we have to immerse ourselves in the Neanderthal world, a place both alien and familiar. The Zagros Mountains 40,000 years ago, a rugged frontier carved by ancient rivers and blanketed in snow. Towering peaks and plunging valleys side by side. Neanderthals were our evolutionary cousins. They lived in small bands of 20 to 30 people. They were nomads, following herds and shifting seasons. Their lives revolved around survival, hunting bison or ibex on treacherous cliffs, stealing kills from hyenas when food ran scarce, or gathering berries and roots. Their tools were simple but ingenious: hand axes napped from flint, bone-tipped spears, and their greatest ally, fire. Fire meant warmth through glacial winters, cooked meat to ward off disease, and light to chase away the terrors of night. This was the late Paleolithic. The climate swung between bitter cold and brief thaws. Glaciers sculpted the land, forcing constant migration to track food. One failed hunt could mean life or death. Imagine tracking a woolly rhino through a blizzard, your breath freezing in the air, knowing one mistake could end everything. Predators weren't the only threat. Falling on an icy slope, infection or starvation in deep winter claimed countless lives. Most Neanderthals didn't live past 30. Child mortality was sky high. No modern medicine, injuries were often fatal. In this world, physical strength and sharp senses were everything. Hunters needed keen eyes to spot prey miles away, sharp ears to catch a lion snapping a twig, and quick reflexes to flee or fight. Weakness didn't just doom the individual, it could endanger the whole band. Every member had to carry their weight. Yet Neanderthals were more than survivors. They were innovators. They mastered fire, creating social hubs around hearths where they shared stories, crafted tools, and built bonds. Isotope studies of their bones show a varied diet: red deer, wild goats, even pine nuts and mushrooms when meat was scarce. They stitched hides with bone needles, early evidence of clothing to fend off the cold. Their brains were as large as ours, hinting at complex thought. They likely planned hunts, remembered migration routes, and even laughed around the fire. This wasn't a world of mindless brutes. It was a tapestry woven from struggle, ingenuity, and unity, setting the stage for a discovery that would redefine their legacy. Now fast forward to 1957, but keep your mind in the Ice Age. American archaeologist Ralph Solecki and his team ventured into a forgotten cave in the Zagros Mountains, Shanidar Cave. They expected only ordinary relics, stone tools, animal bones, the usual traces of prehistoric life. Instead, they found a time capsule, Neanderthal remains buried in sediment over 40,000 years old. Some skeletons were incomplete, as if time had tried to erase them, but one stood out, a male aged 40 to 50, far beyond the average lifespan of his era. His bones weren't just a body, they were an epic of survival that upended everything we thought we knew about Neanderthals. This individual's skeleton was a map of trauma. A crushing blow to the left side of his skull had collapsed his eye socket, likely blinding one eye. Picture the causes: a hunting accident, a clash over water or prey, a rival band, or a predator strike in the dark. The wounds had healed, but imperfectly, suggesting possible brain damage that may have affected balance or behavior. In a world where spotting prey or dodging a charging boar meant life or death, this loss was catastrophic. Yet, he didn't die. His band carried him through a long recovery. No surgeons, no painkillers. The process may have taken months. His right arm ended below the elbow. The stump had rounded over years of healing. Crushed in a cave collapse? Bitten off by a hyena? Or did his kin perform a quiet amputation to stop infection? Neanderthals had fire and sharp tools. They could cauterize with flame or treat with plants like yarrow. This disability meant he couldn't hunt, make tools, or haul heavy loads, tasks vital to group survival. His lower body told an even grimmer story. One foot had healed deformed after being crushed, leaving him limping with arthritis. His legs bowed from uneven stress. Every step on rough terrain was agony and slowed the group. In a world where speed equaled safety, this was deadly. Worst of all, bone growth in his ear canals, likely from chronic cold exposure, had left him partially deaf. In an environment where hearing a predator's growl or a kin's warning shout was critical, he lived in a muffled world. These injuries, spanning years, should have been a death sentence. Yet he reached old age. His healed bones are proof of extraordinary care. Someone shared their kills, carried his portion, or guided him on silent hunts. This wasn't a one-time act of kindness. It was lifelong support. It reveals a Neanderthal society that valued life beyond utility. This tells us the truth about Neanderthals was far from the club-dragging cavemen of cartoons. They were a people with depth and empathy. My analysis draws from anthropology. Small groups survive through interdependence, not individualism. Hunters shared mammoth meat. Gatherers divided handfuls of berries. This injured man survived, suggesting roles beyond physical labor. Maybe he told stories of past hunts, taught kids to knap flint, or held a spiritual role, reading signs in stars or animal tracks. His band didn't just tolerate him. They restructured life around his needs, slowed migration to match his limp, used visual signals to compensate for his deafness. This challenges survival of the fittest. From an evolutionary view, compassion is a strategy, not a weakness. Groups that care for the vulnerable retain knowledge. Elders pass down roots and tool-making skills. Empathy builds loyalty and reduces conflict that could split the band. Neanderthals had brains as complex as ours, suggesting rich emotions. Mourning lost kin, cheering a successful hunt, or beaming with pride when a child first threw a spear. Other Shanidar burials hint at ritual. Bodies deliberately placed, one possibly adorned with spring wildflowers. This wasn't just survival. It was respect, a precursor to modern funerals. It shows Neanderthals grieved and honored their dead. Let's paint a scene. Dawn in a Zagros cave, frost on the ground. Hunters prepare to track ibex, breath clouding in the cold. At the back of camp, the injured man tends the fire with his one good arm, adding twigs. Kids gather around, learning to strike sparks from flint. He tells tales of legendary hunts. When hunters drag prey home, meat is divided for everyone, not by who's strongest, but by who needs it most. This echoes a disabled child's grave in France's Lapa do Santo, or evidence from Spain's La Chapelle aux Saints of plant-based medicine found in teeth. For Neanderthals, care wasn't charity, it was investment. Bands that abandoned the weak risked losing cohesion. Inclusion built resilience, ensuring survival through harsh winters. This compassion wasn't unique to Shanidar. Across Neanderthal sites, we see signs of social complexity. Long-distance tool trade, cave art with hand stencils in Spain, even bone flutes hinting at music. They likely sang or drummed to ease pain or celebrate births. Genetic studies add another layer. Neanderthal DNA in modern human genomes, especially immune genes, shows interbreeding with Homo sapiens. We're not their successors, we're their kin, inheriting their capacity to care. Their extinction likely came from climate shifts or competition, not inferiority. Just bad luck. Their legacy lives in us, reminding us human strength lies in unity. To make this feel real, let's bridge the Ice Age to today with true stories that echo prehistoric compassion. First, Otzi the Iceman, a 5,300-year-old mummy from the Alps, found in 1991. He had arthritis and tattoos suggesting acupuncture-like treatment. His gear and medicinal plants show his group cared for him despite his frailty, just like Shanidar's injured man. Imagine Otzi's kin bandaging wounds with moss, sharing goat meat to keep his strength up. That's the same generosity Shanidar fed their wounded. Now look at modern hunter-gatherers like the Hadza in Tanzania. Elderly members who can't hunt teach youth to track or craft bows. A one-eyed Hadza grandmother might sit by the fire, sharing star maps for navigation, while her family makes sure she eats. It's a mirror of Neanderthal dynamics, wisdom traded for care. Another example from modern history. World War I soldiers with PTSD, unable to fight, were often carried through muddy trenches by buddies. Their survival hinged on loyalty, not utility. Picture Neanderthal bands doing the same, guiding a deaf kin across frozen rivers, putting the group's heart above speed. Even animals reflect this instinct. Elephants form a protective circle around injured calves, trumpeting to rally the herd. If a calf limps, the whole group slows to keep hyenas at bay. This shows compassion predates humans. It's rooted in social survival. A more modern case. Rural Alaska. An elder with mobility issues, say, a grandfather who can't walk far, teaches grandkids to fish or carve. He sustains the community with knowledge. His family shares salmon, reenacting prehistoric meat sharing. These stories make the ancient feel alive. From cave to village, every act of care weaves the same thread: connection over convenience. So what does this prehistoric epic teach us? It's not just about bones or survival. It's about the essence of being human. In a world obsessed with productivity and measuring worth by output, Neanderthals remind us real strength lies in the collective heart. Modern society has hospitals and welfare built on this ancient instinct. But we've lost its raw intimacy. In the Ice Age, care was a hand lifting the fallen, a hide shared against the cold. Today, we delegate it to efficient but impersonal systems. Yet the impulse to protect the vulnerable, a friend in pain, a stranger in need, or ourselves in fragile moments, still springs from those firelit caves. What makes us human isn't how far we walk alone, but who we choose to walk with. Embrace compassion as strength. Slow down for the struggling. Give without counting cost. Recognize every kind act sends ripples through time. 40,000 years ago, Neanderthals on the brink of extinction still chose to carry their wounded. They proved humanity thrives not because we're flawless, but because we lift each other up. Let's carry forward this ancient, timeless wisdom, whether helping a neighbor, volunteering, or simply listening with patience. In a fractured world, the message from 40,000 years ago remains immortal. We either survive together or perish alone.